te waka, ko te maunga roa te tangata. Ko Taranaki, ko Pauakai, ko Kaitake koia te puna I eke mai ai te tangata. Ko Taranaki te pau ere ngā waka, te pau ere ngā iwi, te pau ere ngā tangata, te pau ere ngā kaupapa, T.A. Muriora. O tēnā koutou I te iwi, welcome to another episode of Ngā Kanohi o Taranaki Iwi. Aira, this kaupapa is all about our uri and the journey they've taken to become who they are today in this ever-changing world. Aira, Ngā Kanohi o Taranaki Iwi is all about uniting, uplifting and connecting whānau by sharing our unique stories that identify who we are as Ngā Uri o Taranaki Iwi. Aira te whānau, it's that simple. Aira, this kaupapa is all about our uri and about you sharing your kōrero and your journey in today's world. And as you can see here, yes, we've got another one of our whanaunga joining us today to have a kōrero. Tēnā koe te whanaunga. So without further ado, I'm going to we'll pass the raka over to you and just ko wai te ingoa and no hea koe.
A tēnā tātou, ko Tremain Strickland tōku ingoa. Te taho tōku pāpa no Taranaki maunga. Tā tōku māma no Aotea Moutere or Great Barrier. Ngā marae o Owai, o tā rawa pā, ma ngā whānau o Iriwata, Uruwiti, Kepa, White, Bailey, no reira tēnei ka mihi kia tātou katoa.
Rawe, tēnā koe te whanaunga. Thank you for coming on and just, having a kōrero with us today in regards to your journey into today, with what you've been up to and so forth. So tell us a bit about the, how's it been for you, a bit about where you're currently residing at the moment. What would you, over to you.
Kei wainui mata we noho ana, mata ko taku hoa rangatira, ko Sarah Strickland ni Taylor, I tipu aki ki reira. Me taku tamahine, ko Sophia Isabella Strickland, tōna ingoa. Yeah, so I grew up here in Te Whanganui-a-Tara. I was born in Auckland. I lived there probably till I was about 9, and I mostly grew up. My mother was a single mother. My parents split up when I was born. And so I mostly grew up around my great-grandmother, whose name is Belle Strickland. To a lot of people, that's Auntie Belle, and she lives in Auckland. And so for the first part, it was mostly surrounded by my whānau, my cousins. And yeah, I guess there's nothing but love in that upbringing, And then growing up, my cousins actually moved away to Australia, which happened to a lot of people. And so did my sort of world with it. So that was a bit hard. And then after that, my father lives down here in Porirua. And so I left my mum. She was dealing with some other stuff with her sister and her well-being. And so I left my mum probably about 8 or 9, and moved down to Porirua. And we lived in Waitangiroa, which is a bit of a rough neighbourhood for those who know Waitangiroa, and so that was a bit of a culture shock, and so had to learn how to be streetwise pretty quick, and so sort of from then on, probably the teenage years, bouncing between my parents really, and sort of that sort of period was probably the toughest. But yeah, so my mum eventually moved down here, and then I went back to her over this side of Johnsonville, Nio, so that side. So I really lived all around Te Whanganui-a-Tara, Pōneke. But yeah, that's probably got to a point, and then I sort of started studying. I went to work first, left school 16, didn't care about school, like so many. Regret it now, but at the time, just wanted to work, and so went to work for my dad at the airport in New Zealand. So I was about 16 then.
And what was it like for you? So as a 16-year-old, like you were saying, school just wasn't happening for you. Like you're saying, that was something that was quite common amongst us all. Just kind of like I suppose when you think back to those days, just kind of like, yeah, didn't resonate or just wasn't the place, the vibe, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for myself, not really having anywhere to call home as well, sort of bouncing between going to different schools and, new school, new teachers. And where I went was, let's just say it wasn't as culturally diverse from these days. And so, a lot of the Māori kids ended up in the same classes. I won't say what those classes were called, but that was, I feel like that was a big reason why a lot of us left, was because no one was really interested in us, and if you weren't, achieving at high, excellence or whatever, then they're just like, put you in that class, you'll wag anyway, or take off from school anyway. So yeah, that was probably the biggest reason why I left, and I wanted money.
Well, true. I know, 16 years of age, and if you've got if you're able to go and actually work full time, that's quite it would be, be quite, I suppose something that would really motivate you,
Yeah, and so going to work, and sort of where I was in the luggage handling part. So where you put your bags in, they get sent to us, and we put them on the thing and send them out to the plane. But there was a lot of older guys, like older men, and talking like 50, 55, real, I wouldn't say it, sort of gruff, and here I am, 16 years old, know nothing about anything pretty much. And so there was a lot of learning, and it's different kind of learning. It's a learning, how to be around, that generation. And so that was a couple of years. But yeah, and then moving on to different jobs, demolition, asbestos removal, scaffolding, whatever,
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, because I think that's kind of like you say, like even though you've moved around with different mahi, but I suppose when you kind of like look at it, and just how you mentioned, you were there at Air New Zealand. I suppose when you look at the people that were around you that you worked with, quite a lot older than you, I suppose could be considered, koros, or older uncles,
Oh yeah.
But I think, when you look at it, it's actually that's like first-hand life experience.
Yeah,
when you actually are working. Yeah,
that's what
and
it
I
was.
think
And like they were telling me, they were giving me lessons in life. And because you're the youngest guy there, trying to work hard, impress everybody. But a lot of them told me to leave. Said, "Oh, this is a waste of time for you." I was like, "Well, I'm making good money." And I remember one of them, vividly saying, This is not for you. You need to go and you need to study." It's like, study? I don't want to study. What am I going to study? Something, that you need to get out of here, because there was no progression. And I'm thankful for those. He's passed away now, which is a bit sad, but he's from South Africa, and he was a bricklayer all his life, and he had a lot of wisdom for me. So so I did leave, and then I went on to study.
Nice.
Study what started off as creative technology. It wasn't really a subject. It was just you try a whole bunch of things. And then I sort of got into visual arts, bit of tattooing. I realised that my drawing skills weren't as good as everyone else's at that level, and then found video, and did a degree in video, which was huge for my family. None of my parents have been to even study, so to get a degree, I think, and to graduate was a big part of me rebuilding myself and who I am, and having a bit of pride, going from that dropout. Back then, never think about studying, didn't even want to go back. But be able to say, I managed to achieve something in the academic world. was a big deal.
Yeah, and I think that's a, you know, like you mentioned there, it's kind of like, you know, to actually pave your way through life, and you know, you and in some stages there, you know, you didn't know where it was going to go to, but you know, I suppose it's one of those moments, you know, how you said that you had a conversation with, you know, at work with one of the current, you know, current kaimahi there, who actually said to you, you know, boy, you need to get out of here. This is just not for you. But how, you know, it's kind of like you see that and they see the potential in you, or there's something in there. But all it takes really is that one kōrero, that, you know, a comment, just to kind of to get your mind thinking and actually think, oh, well, actually, you know, why not? Why not give it a go?
And they were all doing it. You know, it wasn't just it soon became all of them. You know, all those sort of, I wouldn't say kaumātua because they weren't, but I guess if you think about it, you know, they were telling me, you know, what I needed to hear, and sometimes it's not what you want to hear, but sometimes it's what you had to hear to, like you say, push you out of where you are.
That's right. Yeah. No, and I think that's pretty, you know, that's an important thing, because, you know, if you think about it, and because this happens a lot, you know, with a lot of our whānau, you know, uncertain on what to do, you know, kind of like unsure, you know, what can I do, or what is it that I can do? And I think that's that whole thing around just, you know, letting your journey take you where it needs to lead you. But but along the way, when you do come across those gems, or, you know, those peoples in your life that actually make you see things in a different view, or just to, you know, actually think, oh, well, why not give it a go? So I mean, you know, how you said going to study, you got your qualifications, you know, that would have been a big moment for you personally and your whānau, just to, you know, to have that, you know.
And then during study, met my wife, and, my girlfriend then, Sarah, and sort of gone on from there. Started working in video. Did a few odd jobs beforehand. You don't just come out and get straight into it, as some people know. It's like any industry, you got to prove yourself. And got into marketing, communications, public relations, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but video's the mahi. But yeah.
Lovely. And so, you know, like how you say with the video stuff, I think, you know, what was when you say like with the video content, I mean, I know just for me as well, when I see something visual, or I see, you know, kind of some content and all that, it just has a different jam or different buzz, a different feel to it. So yeah. So for you, so with the mahi that you're doing and the videography and stuff like that. So if we have rangatahi out there that are thinking, oh yeah, you know, I really like to you know, put clips together, or quite, you know, visually in that aspect, what would you say to them, you know, in regards to what it would look like, or, you know, around getting involved in it?
Well, it's definitely a career, right? Like it's a career to follow now. From social media, like even like TikTok, every kid knows how to use TikTok, and he knows how to use the editor on TikTok. That's pretty
amazing, eh? Like when you think about it, and your phones these days, the stuff you can do on them, it's pretty.
But it's being able to tell a story. You know, that's the bit that's probably takes a little bit of time, but everyone's got a story. You know, and if you're keen to get into video, it's just about making them. You know, and telling the story, and asking your karawa, your kuia questions, filming it and putting it together, putting music underneath, you know, pictures, whatever. You know, it's your chance to be creative. But there's definitely a career, you know, and especially in some of these big towns, you know, different departments, communications departments, marketing departments, video people are sought after. That's just a fact. And
it's
now,
such a big area, isn't it? You know,
and to be able to turn it around quickly, and to be internal, and so it's sort of shifted from the traditional production houses that you used to have, which was just the company you went to make you a video. There's more internally in companies, so it's definitely a skill to have, and if you love doing it, keep doing it, keep making
Aye.
it. And then for your iwi, if you're in your iwi, start making videos for them, you know?
Yes,
That's the
which is
easy way
exactly
to do it.
one of the kaupapa that that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That you put together for our Taranaki Iwi Uri group down there in Poneke, which was about to lead me to the next part there, because I've was great to meet you, Ngā Kanohi, along with your whānau as well,
Yeah.
at the Taranaki Iwi Uri engagement that we had down in Poneke last year, April. It's been a year already, whanaunga. It just goes so fast. What was it like for you and your whānau to come to a space and something like that, a kaupapa like that? How did you, what was it like for you seeing other Taranaki Iwi whānau and so forth?
Well, I think it was just heartwarming, You sort of, I suppose my Māoritanga was dormant probably until I was about 25 when I started learning te reo. And you have to realize, oh, where am I actually from? But, to see so many others like me was heartwarming. And the kids running around. And, it's a bit unorthodox. It's a bit different to how you would do it back at home, on the pa or whatever. But it's what you got to do. It's what you got to do to get to the people, to help them find their way back home. Because there's a lot of us that didn't even know we're from Taranaki. And then, that whole thing,
Right.
But it was amazing.
Awesome, yeah, and I think that's a good thing, a good point that you raised there too, whanaunga. Is like it is for some of our whānau, it's something different, with the venue and so forth. But I think when you look at the underlying fundamentals of it, it's all around that whanaungatanga, and because that was our first actual location, should I say, with our haerenga as well. So. We were kind of like thinking, oh, is this gonna, go off pretty well? Didn't know what to expect, but the big thing for us is that we knew what was gonna happen. It was going to be a great kaupapa, because at the end of the day, it was for our whānau. And so, it was just really great to see you and your whānau there, but also to see, just the whole, our Taranaki Iwi whānau down there, just, starting to create just another area for you to be able to stay connected and, and to do things together, which is really awesome. Just like we've had our whanaunga, Sherry Lee, who came on, who was our, the first of our uri to come on in kōrero, with her production, Muka for it, as well.
Yeah.
So
it's
just really awesome. That. Yeah, how was that? How did you? Yeah, oh, beautiful.
Well, I was part of the team. Small part.
Yes, no, she did. Yes, she did advise that.
What's the video stuff? But I think it's hard to put in words the feeling when you're sitting there and your whanaunga's show's going, everybody's cheering, and predominantly it was based around Taranaki reo, and Taranaki kaupapa, and there was always looking back at the mountain, and so just feeling proud, I suppose. Just proud to know her, and know her story. She's out there working, got kids, and trying to do her own show, and COVID.
Pretty remarkable, eh?
It was amazing, and you just sort of sat there and realised that there's so many others like her and like me out there, and we're all looking to find our way back, and whatever that looks like. It might be different for me compared to someone else, but it's just trying to find that way.
And I think that, like you say, whanaunga, and there's no one way or right way, it's your way. And I think that's a big thing, like you say, for a lot of our whānau, it's just that whole going on your journey, whatever that journey looks like. And I think that's been a big thing for us in regards to this particular kaupapa here, is that because what we believe is that, by sharing our story or our kōrero like that you've done today, whānau out there who may be watching this now, or in the future when they hear it and see it, can relate to it, because it's just all about your identity, and whatever your journey is, e te wānau, that's okay. There's no specific one way to be who you are. And that's a big thing, is that, you know, my whakapapa, your whakapapa is what binds us as Taranaki Iwi, and that's enough. So I think, you know, that's a great kōrero discussion there that you brought up there, whanaunga, because it's all around about our whānau knowing that there is a place for you, wherever that may be, and whatever that looks like.
And when we had another day down here, just getting to you, we're probably the same as you. So, oh, is anyone going to show up? Man, the place was packed. Throughout. And you know what it was? You came in, and it's like you knew them. You weren't in a room of strangers. You just talked. Some people went in the kitchen, got stuff ready, because that's what they like to do. You know, someone had to, you know, welcome everyone in. But that's what it is, right? It's being in a space together, and it was easy. And we're sort of all sitting at the end and we're like, man, we didn't have to do anything. We just opened the door.
Right? And it just happens.
And not to mention, it was a monsoon rain day. And so if you think of the heaviest rain, that's what it was. And we were like, oh, no one's going to come to this. Cars keep coming, showing up. The car park was full. We looked outside, it was like, man, there's so many people here. But, you know, koina te mea matua, te honanga I roto ia tātou ki te maunga. You know, it's not a physical thing, it's a wairua thing. And you know, we were all feeling good. No raruraru, no problems. But yeah, that's the big part, I think.
Rawe. It is. Aira, totally tautoko tō kōrero I te whanaunga. And like you say, even though the weather elements and so forth weren't ideal, and, you know, even our own thoughts in regards to, we're always thinking, oh, no, well, man, I wonder if anybody's going to come, or this and that. And I think, like you say, he kaupapa te mea nui, when we keep focused on the kaupapa, like you mentioned, it just evolves, it just happens naturally. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is that whānau resonate with it. And then potentially when you go away, more will just come in, be involved. But I think what it really just comes down to at the day is that there is a place for us all. It's just a matter of where our fit is. And like you say, the kitchen's their thing, pai's their thing, you know, cleaning the waripaku, digging the hole, or manaki, you know, all of those aspects are all a part of who we are, you know, and it's important. But no, I must, a big mahi to you in the whānau, because it was pretty cool to be able to see you take that next step, and to be able to, you know, hold kaupapa down there, because that's what it's all about. It's about our whānau in those spaces and so forth. But when I suppose when you look at that, how you were saying it wasn't until you're about 25 and you were kind of like looking into your, you know, your Māori side of things. Had you always known growing up that you were of Taranaki Iwi whakapapa?
No. And in my whānau's defense, they probably told me, and I probably didn't listen. But no, I didn't. And so when it came to, so my mum dragged me to this te reo course at night at Te Wānanga or Aotearoa down here. And she said, oh, I'm going to this, you're coming too. So, oh, go. Busy, working.
Yeah, the normal.
And so I went, and I wasn't too sure about it at first. I was like, oh, no. But I suppose the moment I knew, my uncle passed away on my mother's side. And I didn't really know my uncle, not really. And so we went to the hospital and saw him there, and just started crying. I don't know why. Didn't really know him that well. I knew him. I had seen him. We had met. But it was something else. I'm not sure what. And so going through all of it, you know, to the tangi up in Otaki, and on the pai, you know, we didn't really have speakers, and so reverted to English, which I know was very hard for the haukainga to allow. It wasn't that we were trying to disrespect them. It was simply that it wasn't there. And so thankfully they allowed us to navigate that and cleared that up. But I thought, you know, I never wanted to get that to that stage. You know, if there was no one else, I should be able to get up and mihi at the very least, you know. And so I thought, okay, started going back to the course, learning more. And then it got to the bit where it says, oh, no here koe. I said, oh, I'm from Wellington. He says, oh, did you grow up in Wellington? You know, are you a whānau from Wellington? So, oh, no. So, okay, where were you born? Oh, Taranaki. Oh, you must be from there. Oh, I don't think I am from there. And so it started that thing. So, okay, and we're going to ask people now. So I asked my grandmother. She said, oh, I'm from Taranaki. And there, that's where it started. I said, oh, I didn't know that, Grandma. She said, yes, you did. You've been there. So I don't remember the picture, the parihaka. But, you know, you just, it wasn't a big thing. It was, you were just trying to live, you know, and in that period, just trying to pay bills. I know my parents tried the hardest they could. They were just trying to live, trying to feed the kids, trying to, you know, and unfortunately, that's the bit that got left out. And for whatever their connections were, you know, it was what it was. You know, so yeah, that's where I found out. It was from my grandmother.
And I think that's you know, when you think about that too, like you say, it was what it was, and like you say, when you're just surviving in the world, you know, you're working, you know, you're providing for the whānau and so forth. It's not that it wasn't important. It just that's what it was at that time. But like you say, going through your particular journey and going, you know, to your tangi's, to your uncle's tangi, and just those different emotions, and you started seeing things differently, going through your real journey and all that. But I think, you know, when you see that, and it's kind of like that whole kind of like, actually not, I wouldn't even call it a rediscovery. It's just kind of like seeing things through a different lens. And I suppose, you know, technically a little bit older as well, because like, you know, I totally agree with the whole, you know, when you're growing up, teenage and stuff, you know, you most probably, like you're saying, you were told, or you've had kōrero or discussions with the whānau, but, you know, at least it's
something.
You know, so that's that whole thing. But you know, when you think of your journey that you've taken and where you are today, you know, what does it for you, whanaunga? What does it mean being Taranaki Iwi to you?
For me, I look that way, and I know there's someone there. You know, I know my whānau are there, and I know my maunga is there. You know, that's what it means. It's revitalized me and added to my character, added to me, because you're going around kicking stones, you know, don't know where you're from. But once you know that, it's like you're standing up, you know, and your foundation is strong. And whatever happens, you remember, well, I'm from Taranaki te maunga. Simple as that. And you don't need to say anything else. Everybody knows, okay, maunga tito here. Yep, know where that is. And so that's what it is for me. It's having that base, that strength, to know oneself is a real strength.
Mauri ora te wānau. And like you say, that's it right there. Ko Taranaki te maunga, right then and there. That's and that's all it is. Awesome, whanaunga. Well, as you know, I'm one that I definitely one of those ones that like to kōrero, and I could kōrero with you for the rest of the day. But you know, I just want to mihi to you and thank you for all the mihi that you continue to do. You know, and acknowledge you and your wānau. You know, when you're opening mihi there, well-known names here in Taranaki, beautiful whānau, and just want to mihi to you and your journey that you've taken and where you are today, and just to acknowledge you and your whānau and the mihi that you're doing in our Taranaki Iwi Ohu space down there with our Uri engagement. Like you said, seeing you all do your, host your waka whanaunga day there down at Hikoikoi back, last year was awesome. And we will definitely be looking at doing a lot more of that stuff. And as you know, with the COVID side of things, has had to change things up around with how we've actually communicated and done stuff together. But before we close our kōrero today, Te Whananga, was there any other last comments or any other last kōrero you wanted to share before we wrap up?
Oh, I think, one last thing was I've started going back regularly, trying to do it regularly. And, my daughter knows who Taranaki is. That's it. That's all. That's the mahi. On the shoulders, you're on the rough seas, but it's so that you can get to the calm seas for your children. And so that we move back the flow of te reo, but also knowing who you are, putting that back is the koina te mea matua ki au, ki te wakatika ngia te rere o te awa. Tō tātou Taranakitanga i roto i tōku ake whānau. Nō reira, tēnā, kei te mihi ki a koe e hoa, e te whananga.
Mauri ore te whananga. Tēnā koe mō tō kōrero. Thank you once again for today. And for our whānau out there, thank you for joining us and listening to our Whanaunga Trays kōrero. But if you are sitting out there and you're watching this and want to be a part of this kaupapa as well, would like to share your journey, please come along, complete, fill out our expression of interest form, which is within this particular in the post here, for you to be able to, share your kōrero as well. We'd love to have you a part of this kaupapa. E ngā maunga kōrero, e ngā maunga waka I, kua mutu te kōrero o te rānei, tēnā koutou katoa, rire hau, pai marire te wānau.
Kohea, tērā maunga e tu maira. Ko Taranaki pia, ko Taranaki pia. Nuku mai, neke mai. Neke mai ki tāku tauaro kiria. Ki tāku tauaro